Hello, 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 everyone. How are you this wonderful evening? It's Thursday. I've been asking people all day long, what day of the week is it? And it's been kind of catching me a little bit by surprise. And so I am super, super excited to have you all join in with us this evening. I have a very special guest that is going to be joining us this evening, and I want to. I'm actually trying to copy something, so bear with me one moment while I do this quick little tag, and we're gonna go from there. Um, let's see. Doo-doo-doo. Uh, we are going to, let's see, tag it empowering kingdom growth. We want to make sure that the people get it there. So there we go. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us this Thursday evening. Listen, when I tell you it has been a day, it has been a day, and I am thankful to God that I am here even right now. I'm thankful to be here right now in this space, and I have a very special guest that I'd like to introduce to us this evening, who is from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Stone Mountain, Georgia. We have with us this evening Dr. Sonya Strider, who is has a degree in public health. She's a public health professional and employed by one of the nation's leading public health agencies. Dr. Strider is a graduate of Virginia Commonwealth University, Medical College of Virginia, and Walden University, where she earned a bachelor's degree in science in medical technology and a PhD in community health and health education. Dr. Strider is passionate about people. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. She's passionate about people and committed to helping communities grow and flourish. She is a certified grief recovery specialist, and we'll hear more about that, and the owner of a Place for the Heart LLC, where she uses the grief recovery method to help women heal from grief and loss of all kinds. That's right, because grief is it's the person, place, helping people grieve a person, place, or thing, right? And she is also the founder and the CEO of Jenny's Porch Foundation. And we will hear more about that. And here is how we connect even more beyond grief. Dr. Strider, is a member of Stone Mountain Lithonia Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Yes, yes, yes. And she serves as the first vice chair there. And she also volunteers in the sea and volunteers regularly in the community. At this time, I am going to bring Dr. Strider on with us. And welcome, Dr. Strider. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are
Hey
you this
there.
evening?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was telling our viewers that you are from Stone Mountain, Georgia, and beside us being connected through grief, there is this phenomenal organization that connects us even more, and that's Delta Sigma Theta. And so, not only
Absolutely.
yes, not only do I have my sister in Christ with me, I have my sister in the sisterhood, in the Greek sisterhood. So thank you so much, Dr. Strider, again for joining us. And I was reading some of our viewers a little bit about your bio, and there was one thing that kind of struck me about being the founder of Jenny's Porch. And can you tell us just a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So, Jenny's Porch Foundation is a foundation that I started kind of out of my own grief. Again, I started being a grief counselor, again, finding ways for my own grief. But after that, in finding ways to honor my mom, whose name was Geneva, and everybody called her Jenny. And
Mhm.
so the fond memories that we had as growing up was always where everybody gathered, on her front porch. That's where we
Mhm.
celebrated. That's where we grieved. That's where we, just came to be. And so I wanted to start the foundation as a way to help other women either grieve, and we gave our first scholarship this year, but I wanted to have the foundation as a way to help women grieve and celebrate. And so we sponsor a brunch called Beyond the Sunshine. That's a brunch that we sponsored for women who have
Mhm.
lost their mothers or a child. So we just come together, we celebrate, we remember, and we just nurture our hearts, together. And in that sisterhood of us being either, um, women who've lost our mothers or who've lost children, we just have a great time together and we support each other, so that's
Mhm.
a place where you can be vulnerable and a place where we can also celebrate. So that's one of the things that we do through the foundation. And like I said, this year we gave our first scholarship to a young woman who's a freshman in college, and
Uh-huh.
she had lost her mother. So that's what we're doing there.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And tonight, it looks like for whatever reason, I'm getting some text that people can't find this for whatever reason. I'm not sure what the deal is with
Uh-oh.
this tonight. I know, and let's see. Give me 1 second. I'm trying
Surely.
to. Let's see.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Da, 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 da. Let's see. I am going to let me send her this. I've had a couple people. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Um, let's go here. And Dr. Strider, while I'm actually doing this, can you just tell me just a little bit more, and even those when people may catch this replay, just a little bit more about what pulled you to the place? I know you were in one health, one field of education, and then you started to navigate a little more, and what was the passion, what was the driving force behind getting to the grief recovery specialist?
Oh, absolutely. I started doing grief recovery work after going through the program myself. Like I said, I lost my mother in
Hmm.
December of 2015, and then I lost my father in September of 2016. And in between that, I also lost my aunt, and I had lost a very good friend. So I found myself just in the throes of grief, right? And not really knowing how to navigate that. It was, I consider myself to be, very realist and very, we can just move on past this. And I started thinking that, if I was feeling like this, how many other people are feeling this and don't really know where to go or to
Hmm.
find a safe and not only safe, but the biggest thing too is safe and affordable. So I wanted to be able to provide something to people that is affordable, to be able to help them with their grief.
Okay, awesome. And so let's just kind of dive right in and talk a little bit about the topic that we have, and it is entitled "The Unspoken Truths of Grief." And there are so many different unspoken things about grief and navigating the journey after loss. And so, can you just share a little bit of how we got to this title, The Unspoken Truths of Griefs, and maybe share a little bit about of what that means and what that looks like?
Well, but part of why I thought about this title was through some of the other connections and groups and different things I'm in where people deal with grief. I see sometimes people, particularly when they're in the beginning of the grief, or when the grief is fresh, I guess I'll say, a lot of people say, oh, you said it would get better, people said it would get better, it's not better. And people, and so I started to think about this title, The Unspoken Truths of Grief, the part that people are afraid to talk about or don't want to
Mhm.
talk about, the things like time heals nothing,
Mhm.
right? It's,
Mhm.
time is just time.
Mhm.
It just
Mhm.
passes,
Mhm. Mhm.
and to heal grief, you have to be intentional, right? So you have to do intentional things to heal. It's not just like, oh, you wake up and the next day it's like, okay, I'm done, I'm done grieving. And so I just thought that, to have an opportunity to just talk about some of the stuff that we don't talk about
Mhm.
around grief. Of course, it's not grief is not a dinner table conversation. So,
Right.
so just the place to talk about it.
And so one of the things, another thing I guess that I wanted, and I'm definitely a believer in that same vein there, especially with when people say things like, God, this is one for me. God wanted them more, or they're in a better place now.
Yeah, the
Can
better
you
place would
just
be right here. Yes.
yes, yes, yes. Because it's not you that's experiencing this. It's me, and you're on the other side thinking you're telling me something good, and in essence, you're not. Can you
Right.
share a little bit about that? Has that been something that you have
Absolutely.
heard?
So those are all the things that people say that are not at all helpful, right? And they're
Mm-hmm,
things that
mm-hmm,
also shape how we grieve, because I'm not going to then talk about it, because, if I talk about it, because you already told me it's okay, or you have made some indication that because I'm feeling this, that my faith isn't strong, or that, I'm doubting God, or all of those
mm-hmm,
things. So then we
mm-hmm.
keep those things to ourselves instead of talking about it. Look, grief is real,
It
grief
is.
is a natural experience. Everybody, everybody is going to grieve something, and is
That's
going to
right.
grieve someone at some point
Mm-hmm,
in time in our lives, right?
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
learning how to be able to say, one, I'm not okay.
mm-hmm.
Two, tell people what you need. Like, it's not helpful when you tell me that they're in a better place, right?
That
Because
no,
the better place would be here with me, because that's what I feel.
that's right.
So that's not helpful. And just being able to, you have to tell people what you need and be able to express that in a way that, is still loving, and loving for them and for you, but where you can get your needs met too. So often we we kind of skirt over, and we're in our grief really still thinking about other people's
Mm-hmm,
feelings.
mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't want to be rude, or I don't want to be, but it's okay to say that's not really helpful for me.
And that's one of the things that I think that most people with is what do say? What do I say to people who are grieving? Like, is there something that you would recommend? Is there something that you would say to someone that perhaps may say? I guess is the question that I want to ask.
Yeah, so something that I would say to someone, usually, because everybody's grief experience is different, right? So just because I lost my mother and you might have lost your mother, our grief isn't the same. It's
Mm-hmm,
not the same. So
mm-hmm,
what I usually try to say to
mm-hmm,
people is, even resisting the urge to say, I know how you feel, or I, understand how you feel, because I don't know how you feel, and I don't
mm-hmm.
necessarily understand how you feel, right? Because I understand how I
Right.
felt, but that might not be the same for you. So usually what I try to do when I'm talking to people is to allow them the opportunity and the space to tell me what they need. A lot of times that you don't know what you need, as in things like, I don't know what's going on in my house, because in the midst of grief everything is chaotic, but let me know what is good for you. Let me know what makes you feel good, or what will help you. If you say, I don't really know, I don't know what I want,
Mm-hmm.
then I can then, figure out a few things of how to help you. But if you also say, I don't want to talk, then I can just say, well, you know what? I'm going to just come over and we can just sit and watch TV. Or maybe we're not going to watch TV. I'll just
That's
sit with
right.
you. If we sitting in the dark today,
Mhm.
okay, that's okay. But to just be there, I think we so often want to fix things, right? But sometimes just being there for the person. I'm gonna take you out to lunch, and that's it. And we're not gonna talk about that. You know, we're not gonna talk about the
And and
grief
and
or anything. We're gonna go to lunch and have a lunch.
and it's very much like you said, it's oftentimes it's the moments to where you may not need to say anything. You may just need to show up, and that's all they want you to do is to show up.
Show
And
up.
so, I think I think you to show up and you don't have to say anything, just show up in the space and be okay, because oftentimes if there was a relationship, I'd like to say if there was a relationship beforehand, that relationship should remain intact after there a person has experienced grief, and make sure that nothing changes between the party, because that's what they're looking for. They may not verbally say it, but that's what they're looking for.
And again, they will, sometimes
And
people who are grieving, they will push you away a little bit. But if this is your friend or, your coworker even, allow them that space, but just I'm gonna show up every day,
mhm,
or I'm gonna send you a
mhm,
text. I get it that you don't want to talk. And I think that in this age of
mhm,
text messaging, right, so often when we don't know what to say, but in this age of text messaging, to just send a person a text that says, hey, I'm thinking about you today. Hey, I'm praying for you
yes,
today, on special days or dates that you may know, the person's birthday or the person who passed away's birthday, things when it might be particularly hard for them that day. You could just send them a text and say, hey, I know today might be hard for you, and I'm thinking about you.
okay. So here's what I want to do. For some reason it's not showing live. We're going to
Okay.
pause for just a moment, and we're going to come back.